Bienvenidos de vuelta. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo les fue? ¿Cómo están todos? Veo que se están sumando ya a nuestra reunión general. Aquí más adelante la dinámica también va a cambiar un poco, pero ya lo vamos a explicar mejor. ¿Quién anda por ahí?
Hola Jorge, ¿cómo estás? Y compañeros, ¿cómo están todos?
Hola, buenos días, tardes ya casi. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo están?
¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo les ha ido?
Bien, muchas gracias. ¿Cómo estuvo la experiencia en los breakout rooms?
Espectacular, fenomenal como siempre. La verdad que qué programa tan interesante es este, ha sido muy motivador para todos nosotros y para toda la compañía.
Muchas gracias por dedicarnos este tiempo y por acompañarnos.
No, gracias a Bancolombia, a todos los compañeros y a Raf y a ti que has liderado todo esto. De verdad que no hay palabras suficientes para agradecer el aprendizaje que hemos tenido y el impacto que tiene para uno a nivel personal, familiar, social y empresarial. Hay mucho aquí por hacer.
Sí, que sea muy integral. Esa es la idea. Muchas gracias por esas palabras.
Jorge,
Hola,
David
buenos días.
Ararat, desde Cúcuta.
Hola, David, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias, Jorge. De verdad, quiero agradecerle todo su trabajo y felicitarlo, que me pareció impecable. Toda la conducción de estas 8 sesiones. Y nada, pues ya tiene un seguidor más ahí en su Twitter y de su trabajo. Muchas gracias.
No, David, por favor, gracias por esas palabras. Lo del Twitter, sí, bueno, gracias. Si me escribe, lo sigo de vuelta. Es una promesa, David.
Sí,
Muchas gracias.
sí. Muchas gracias. Bueno.
Oíste, Jorge, una
Señor.
pregunta, si está por ahí todavía el doctor Andrés Aguirre, si está escuchando, que él al principio de las conferencias nos dijo que hiciéramos la prueba de contar desde 100 hasta 1, sosteniendo la respiración, que esa era la prueba para el COVID. Como no lo volví a escuchar, me imagino que él se quedó.
Aquí estoy. Iván, ¿cómo estás? Aquí estoy. Sí, me alegra que estén aliviados. Ayer falleció un médico muy importante aquí en la ciudad que era trasplantólogo, el doctor Germán Lenis, no de mucha edad, y es triste, este COVID se ha llevado a mucha gente. Estamos esperando como todos la vacuna y mientras tanto uso de la mascarilla. Mientras tanto, ¿por qué? Solo para no poder tomármela, porque todavía no está demostrado, la vacuna nos protegerá de la enfermedad y de las formas graves, pero todavía no está demostrado que la vacuna impida la transmisión del virus, como sí es en el caso de la influenza. Mientras eso no suceda, deberemos seguir usando, así estemos vacunados, la mascarilla, no por protección de nosotros, a los que vacunen, sino por protección de los demás. Así que, Iván Darío, aquí estoy. Es extraordinario, esto es una súper actividad, súper. También a Jorge lo vimos ahí en Caracol por la mañana. Yo decía, esta voz la conozco. Pero como en radio todavía no se ve.
Sí. Ese anonimato de imagen a mí me parece ventajoso, la verdad.
Yo soy músico, acuérdese, yo soy músico, entonces tenía esta voz. Voy a hacer una recopilación como entre 2000 voces que he oído, pero por ahí saliste, Jorge. Gracias por todo, a todos y a todas. Aquí estaré. Muchas gracias por todo esto tan maravilloso.
Y sí, a propósito de eso de la mascarilla, como gran paréntesis, la CDC en Estados Unidos ha recomendado que en algunos escenarios tendría que usar doble mascarilla, sobre todo por las variantes del virus, la variante surafricana y la británica, y la brasilera, que ya llegó a Colombia, y algunos otros países de América Latina también.
Andrés, ¿y el riesgo de montar en avión también no es mayor?
No, realmente si se llevan a cabo mantener nuevamente ahí en aviones fundamentalmente la máscara facial, además de la mascarilla, la máscara facial y el lavado de las manos. No porque los recambios de aire son muy grandes en un avión. Salvo pues que el que se siente al lado esté francamente muy enfermo, que uno espera que haya esa
conciencia.
Otra vez volviendo aquí, esa conciencia. Pero no, realmente yo lo he tenido que hacer. Sí.
Bueno, vamos, gracias, sí, vamos a continuar entonces con nuestra octava sesión de Generación Consciente. Esto que va a ocurrir ahora, les pido a todos que silencien su micrófono, por favor. Es importante y además es un cambio con respecto a la dinámica que veníamos teniendo en las últimas 7 sesiones. Este es el final de un ciclo, no es el final, es el final de un ciclo en particular, y siempre esos momentos son buenos para hacer balances y para revisar cuáles fueron las principales conclusiones y los insights que se van a llevar de Generación Consciente. Sé que acaban de hablar de este asunto en los breakout rooms, pero a Raj y a Neha les gustaría recopilar sus opiniones. En este momento, mientras yo estoy diciendo esto, acaba de aparecer en el chat un vínculo a la página de encuestas de la doctora Sangwan. Pueden dejar su respuesta, pueden escribirla en una palabra, o pueden también votar por alguna respuesta de sus compañeros que ustedes también comparten. Lo que va a pasar después es que vamos a ver en tiempo real las respuestas que dejan y si hay algunas más populares que van a ir creciendo en su tamaño. Y luego la doctora Sangwan en cada una de ellas las va a ir comentando con nosotros durante algunos minutos antes de pasar a la segunda respuesta y a la tercera respuesta. Así que en ese chat que aparece ahí pueden ir votando por la que más les guste o ir poniendo la de ustedes y vamos a ir recopilándolas. Por ahora ya han llegado algunas y la pregunta voy a leerla en voz alta. ¿Qué mensaje principal o ideas destacadas has recibido en el programa de Generación Consciente? Puedes también, como he dicho, votar por las ideas que los demás envíen. Neha, good morning.
Good morning. I'm so thrilled to be here and be at this grand finale, which is only just the beginning. That's why the grand finale is so exciting.
Yes.
Yes, really excited to hear everybody's ideas now. And as they put them up, they will start coming to the top. And then each of us, right, as we get to vote on this, it's going to be really exciting to see what everybody's learned.
Yeah, so for now, Neha, hope of a better country, of a better region and world, that's the one who's in the top. Hope.
Wonderful. Yep.
We have also serving others as a way to elevate our conscious, being sensitive also, being able to transform our companies for a better world. But it appears hope, it's the leader right now.
Well, after the year that we've had, I cannot think of something more healing than renewing hope in our leaders and in our people. So this is spectacular because even as a physician, as a doctor, one thing I know that no matter what the diagnosis, no matter what is happening, my job is to give someone hope. Right? And my job is to help them through whatever it is. And if we have hope at a time of many obstacles where we can see a path to a brighter future, we have done our job. So this is beautiful.
Sure.
Beautiful.
Sure. And I guess you can also say, Neha, that this, what we're trying to do here, the message you and Raj are trying to share with us, it's a message about being optimistic also.
Yeah, and seeing farther than ourselves, farther than our company, into our communities, into all of our stakeholders, the ability to integrate have what I call triple vision, right? Mm-hmm. That I can take care of me while I look at we and benefit the world. And that integration is really clear here. So I'm very inspired by these ideas. Can you read a few more that have come in?
Yes, of course. Can we go just in the second and the third one, please? Go up a little bit. Thank you. So also, yes, hope, and then the power to transform from the companies to a better world, to use the companies to transform the world, the need to think about the urgency of economic change and the urgency of acknowledging also the climate change, to have a superior purpose, which I think it's very important, Neha, also.
Well, I really love what you have said, because essentially the consciousness of this group has transformed from the company being a tool to make certain numbers or to achieve something into a vehicle to transform the world. And that's very different. So that level of elevation of consciousness is huge. So that was just spectacular. What else?
We have also go down a little bit and just a little bit more. Yeah, it's basically having the conscious of working for a bigger purpose and to understand what the purpose is.
Yeah.
But I think the first one is still hope. It's also to communicate and to integrate the stakeholders in all the changes we want to make in the company, which is basically the last couple of sessions of Generación Consciente, Neha.
Yes, and I think this idea that we not only find our purpose because it's a good thing to do and it helps align our people, but also that we remember that it guides our decision making. It makes our decisions easier when we know we can fall back on the purpose for which we stand, the values that we stand in. And then this expansion of hope creates all new possibilities of what we think can be next. So this is the most important foundation that we could have, and that we see the power of doing it together.
Yeah, and so I'm going to read the second question, Neha, right now for the vote. Tenemos también una segunda pregunta. Queremos saber cuál creen, es la misma metodología de la primera, que es el siguiente paso en este camino de liderazgo consciente. ¿Cuál creen ustedes que es el siguiente paso en este camino de liderazgo consciente? Otra vez hacen clic en el mismo enlace y que acaba de aparecer, y ahí ya verán activada la nueva pregunta. Ya saben, pueden poner una respuesta, la que ustedes quieren, o votar a favor de alguna respuesta de un compañero que les ha gustado, con la que están de acuerdo. So just let's hold on for a few seconds, Neha, before the answers. Voy a leerla de nuevo en español. ¿Cuál será el siguiente paso de la organización, de tu organización? Puedes votar también por las ideas que los demás envíen.
This is so exciting. This is where it all comes together. So this.
So they're saying that we need to make things to happen. We have to move from the speech to the action, which I think is definitely at last it's like with what we're trying to do here. That's the first one. A couple of votes, Neha.
Yes.
4 votes now. You can keep voting. Pueden seguir votando durante un tiempo más antes de pasar a la tercera y última pregunta. To pass from hope to action. Neha, I like that phrase.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we are doing, right? In the sense that now we have talked about the concept, we have inspired hope, and we've given them tools, right? Actual tools to do this, questions to ask, small groups where they got to do this. And so the question now becomes, how will you use those tools to move into action? So I like that. I like that. And I'd love if people want to give specific actions that they're ready to take next. What action will you take next? And is there a conscious capitalism chapter in Colombia? That just came to me,
yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
Is that something people would be excited about or interested in?
Definitely.
What are the next steps?
Definitely. Yeah, and I guess what they're trying to say is that we have to share this message. We have to share what we have learned here. And so a chapter of conscious capitalism in Colombia and in the countries that are with us, not only Colombia, it's a very good first step.
That's right. Guatemala, El Salvador, right? Panama.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's see. Can we go?
I know there is one in Mexico. I know that.
Yeah, we have Mexico, we have Chile, we have Ecuador, right? Costa Rica. So yeah, we have people who can also sort of be your guide if you want to start that. And I encourage all of these countries for people to make that one of the outcomes of this.
And
Rush, hope.
Yeah, definitely hope. Raj does that naturally by his being in the world.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So what other next steps are coming up?
Like to establish the objectives with what we're trying to do day by day. It's something that we have to practice every day in our lives and in our companies. It's not enough just to say it, we have to act on it. And also develop the leaders of my organization, like to share this message inside the organization. Can we go to the first one, please? Thank you. Yeah, so again, for team votes, for make things happen. Also organize to have a clear way of being, and also getting the help of experts. Yeah, Raj was saying that you do have some people in the region who can help these companies to build the purpose and to keep working on this, Raj.
Yes, definitely. We have resources to be able to help people, both in terms of companies as well as in starting chapters. I think both of those activities are important.
Okay, are you okay if we pass, you move on to the third question? Is that okay with you?
Of course, of course.
Thank you. Ahora repetimos el procedimiento con la tercera pregunta que también va a aparecer acá, acaba de aparecer. ¿Qué apoyo sienten que necesitan para que esos pasos que han planeado se concreten? Creo que lo mencionamos en la segunda pregunta. ¿Qué apoyo sienten que necesitan para que esos pasos que han planeado se concreten? Voy a esperar unos segundos para empezar a leer las respuestas que tienen más votos. Por ahí ha levantado la mano el doctor Harold Leder, que puede por ahora contestar, y más adelante tendremos una ocasión para poder hablar también en esta última sesión de Generación Consciente. ¿Qué apoyo necesitan tú y los equipos que tienes a cargo para integrar el capitalismo consciente a tu liderazgo, compañía y región? Yes, the first one, we need to put everybody in the same field. Stakeholders and basically everyone who's working in the company, which I guess, Raj and Neha, you've been insisting on this. It's very important to be in the same ship, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that you see that you are much more than the people on your payroll, right?
Yeah.
You extend into the communities. Raj?
Yeah, I mean, the phrase I say is everybody matters and everybody needs to win.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody connected to your business.
Everybody matters, yes. Raj, you're going to talk about this a little bit more in a few minutes, but for now, let's see. Yeah, basically the first one is that, like, everybody in the same ship, everybody matters, not only the ones that are in your payroll. Create a group to the study and for the action. Again, Conscious Capitalism Chapter Colombia and the rest of the countries seems to be popular.
Yeah, and I also would say, you know, along the lines of what you were saying a moment ago, Jorge, who have you been leaving out? Who has been left out until now, right? To ask that question of yourselves, right?
Yeah.
So,
and they are also voting for keeping this community live and active. Like if the companies that are here can keep in touch, Raj and Neha, that's very important. Maybe to share experiences, to do a brainstorm every once and then we can gather information from there. So support from organizations who have been able to develop in a conscious way also is the second one now.
That was a big theme in my group, the power of hope coming from knowing you are not alone, that there are a group of people who are committed to this. And I think the power of this community helping the momentum move forward is pivotal. So it's going to be very, very important.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to read the two with the most votes. The first one, I already read this one, like to put everybody in the same ship, stakeholders and everyone, and to create a group to the study and to the action, and to keep alive this community, this conscious capitalism community of Generación Consciente. That's basically the third question of the poll. You want to say something else, Raj, before you continue?
No, I'll give some closing thoughts shortly. Yeah, this was great. I think we will obviously be saving all of these, and this is a great pointer to where the energy is collectively for this group. So.
Okay. Thank you, Raj. Pueden seguir votando por unos segundos más. Mientras tanto, yo voy a hacer la introducción de lo que va a conversar Raj en su presentación de hoy, en sus reflexiones. Y básicamente tiene que ver con una de las preguntas que acabamos de hacerles a todos ustedes. ¿Cuáles son los próximos pasos para esta generación consciente y qué debemos hacer para implementar, para poner en práctica lo que hemos aprendido? De todo esto va a conversar con nosotros nuestro director académico. Raj, the time is yours, please.
Thank you. I would just like to share some closing thoughts as we have come to the end of this phase of our journey together. Looking back and looking ahead. Looking back on our journey over the last 8 sessions, 3 months, whatever amount of time it's been, and then looking ahead, more importantly. You heard from Lynn Twist today, and this is one of my favorite quotes of Lynn Twist, that those of us who are alive today can choose to lead the most meaningful lives that human beings have ever led on this planet. Think about that. And it's a choice. You can choose to lead the most meaningful lives. Why? More so than any other time? Because our challenges are greater than ever. I don't think we've ever faced the kind of collective existential threats that we face today with climate change and with species extinction and many of the other things that are happening at a planetary level, but also in terms of our own well-being, right? The rise of autoimmune disorders and all kinds of things. We know that there's a lot of things that are collectively not healthy and not working. So we have the opportunity, therefore, to find tremendous meaning because the challenges are so great, but our ability to do something about those challenges is also greater than ever. We are more intelligent, we are more conscious, we are more connected, we have access to incredible technologies. All the know-how is out there for us to deploy and towards solving all of these challenges. You know, there's an expression, the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. So we have to find those examples all from all over the world of people that are actually addressing and solving all of these challenges. And we can all collectively, I'm sure, get there. And then the power of business and companies. You know, this is a quote that I love from a report that came out in the UK called The Purposeful Company. How important companies are in the world. Great firms are precious economic and social organizations. They are the originators of wealth generation, offering solutions to human dilemmas and wants at scale, and are thus agents of human betterment. They are enabled by the pursuit of clearly defined visionary corporate purposes, which set out how the company will better people's lives. Those purposes are binding commitments on the whole enterprise that generate trust and enable increasingly sophisticated forms of value creation. So just keep this quote in front of you to say what is possible when you have a company that is truly defined greatness, not in terms of shareholder returns over a period of years, but in terms of the impact that we have, economic and social, and of course, planetary. So this journey, of course, has just begun. You know, this is, I would say, the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end. And what I wanted to share was things that I have learned now in the last 15 years, I would say, being on this journey of conscious business. 10 truths, 10 things that I believe to be true based upon everything that I have experienced and everything that I have observed. That first of all, the cause as well as the solution to many of the world's problems is capitalism. Many of the problems we face in environmental terms and even in terms of social divides are because of the way we practice capitalism. Socialism, communism, Marxism did not exist on this planet until we had abusive capitalism in the 1800s. All of those things arose as a reaction to unconscious capitalism. And therefore, the solution to solving society's polarization and, of course, all the pollution and everything else that has happened as a result of how we did business is an enlightened way of being in capitalism, right? Enlightened form of capitalism. I believe that we human beings are here to take care of each other. And that business is a way we can do that at scale. In our normal lives, we can only care for a few people. Each of you, through your businesses, can care for thousands, tens of thousands, even more through the business. This is a way to scale caring. That's, I think, the right way to think about business. We know that companies that are rooted in love are stronger and more successful than companies that are all about profits and shareholder value, using people. That endearing companies, companies that are loved by their customers, by their employees, by their communities, that those are the enduring companies. Those are the companies that will last 100 years, 1,000 years. Companies have potentially are immortal, right? But this is how you become immortal. That the way we lead impacts the way people live. It's not just what happens 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and the people who are in your building. It's what happens every day, and it's what happens with their children. It's what happens at home. The children of those employees are also stakeholders in your business, whether you acknowledge them or not. And therefore, we need to think about what are the consequences of how we lead. That business, I believe, is fundamentally about healing, which I define as reducing suffering in the world, bringing more joy into the world, and promoting healthy growth. Not only growth in bottom line and revenues, but growth of human beings. Right? Growth in terms of how we understand life. So we need businesses to be places of healing for those who work there, sources of healing for those we serve, our customers, our communities, and forces for healing in society. How do we come together and do great things despite all our surface level differences, as Lynn talked about? And before you can heal an organization, you have to heal yourself. Remember Neha's framing, heal me, serve we, impact world. You have to start with yourself. Go on a deep, before you start doing all kinds of organizational changes, also look at what do I need to heal? What do I need to understand about my own being? Love that is not expressed is like a check that is never cashed. It doesn't do anybody any good. I can write $1 billion check. If nobody cashes it, doesn't mean anything. We have all this capacity and need to love and to care. And if we don't create ways to express that in our businesses, everybody is hungry not only to receive, but also to give love and care. Can we create an environment in which we do that? And you as a leader modeling that, genuine caring for other people, not because of what they can do for you, just because that is what you are wired to do. We are wired to care. And finally, to reiterate, everybody matters and everybody needs to win. If there's anybody losing, that means we are not at the solution. We have to find out within our companies, all the stakeholders, everybody connected to the business needs to be flourishing as a result. You will remember Haley Rushing, who joined us, and Haley is working on a new book now called The Parables of Purpose. And she just sent me the first chapter, and I wanted to share some of the thoughts there, but I think they're pretty powerful. That we need to shift out of this mindset of fear and compliance, right? Just following the law, towards love and compassion. And what is the difference? So when you're from a compliance mindset, you do the bare minimum. What does the law require me to do? I'll do that. Compassion inspires me to think about what is the absolute maximum I can do. Compliance asks, are there any loopholes? Yeah, there's some laws, but can we get around them? Can we hire clever lawyers? And compassion asks, is there more we can do? Compliance just pays the minimum wage that you're required to pay, and compassion pays a living wage so people can live lives of dignity and look after their children and their families. Compliance delivers value to shareholders. Compassion creates value for all stakeholders. Compliance lobbies for fewer environmental regulations. What's again the least amount that I need to do? Compassion advocates for sustainable regenerative business practices, not only in my company, but in my industry and in society. Compliance meets diversity quotas. I need to have one woman on the board or whatever it might be, racial, otherwise. And compassion strives for inclusive, empowering cultures. And lastly, I think about Latin America. This is a very special region, very close to our heart. I've spent a lot of time there, been many, many times to many countries, and we have conscious capitalism chapters in many countries. There's so much interest all over the world. This is the region that has embraced and responded to conscious capitalism. And I think about why that is, and what is your unique role in the world to play? Right? Every country in a way has its own higher purpose, its own core identity. And to me, from what I've learned about Latin America, there's mother energy there. This is a more heart-based environment and culture, right? So honoring that mother energy, a lot of my work, has been described that way. My coach told me, you've been honoring your mother with your work. You're bringing those mother energies, love, compassion, caring, empathy. I think that is at the root of the Latin temperament and the Latin culture. So let's explicitly honor that mother energy, and let's explicitly honor Mother Earth. Latin America is the steward of some of the most vital ecosystems in the world, of the rainforest, but so much more than that, the biodiversity, etc. So Mother Earth and Mother Energy, Pachamama and Mother Energy. I think those are the two things that, to me, become the big aspect of what Latin America means to the world. And the journey that we are on here is, of course, you at an individual level, your companies, but also there's so much power in collective commitment and action. This group of CEOs, these companies, when we work together, it is extraordinary what we're going to be able to accomplish here. So the journey is starting. And it is our privilege and pleasure to be on this journey with you and have shared this time together. And we look forward to continuing our journey together.
Thank you so much, Raj. Thank you so much for that. Vamos también en este momento a continuar con una buena costumbre que ha sido parte de todas nuestras sesiones, y esta última, la octava, no va a ser la excepción. Por eso ya están listos Susan Sobot, la doctora Neha y Raj para responder inquietudes finales o esas preguntas que han ido guardando durante estas 7 sesiones, casi 8 sesiones completas. Recuerden que las pueden formular ustedes, si lo quieren hacer presencialmente, haciendo clic en el icono de levantar la mano para que les demos la palabra, o a través del chat de esta reunión. Tendremos unos minutos para hacer eso antes de seguir con nuestra última reunión de Generación Consciente, nuestra octava sesión de Generación Consciente. Así que si tienen alguna pregunta, este es el momento para hacerla a la doctora Neha, a Raj o también a Susan, que nos están acompañando. ¿Alguien por ahí? El doctor Ricardo Andrés Sierra. Ricardo, te oímos. Buenos días, tardes casi.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Voy a hacerla en español, Jorge, y con un saludo para todos.
Sí, señor.
La pregunta es la siguiente. Sale uno muy entusiasmado de estas 8 sesiones y de verdad mil gracias a Bancolombia por toda esta inspiración que nos dieron. Pero le preguntaría a Raj que él, que asesoraba a tantas empresas, ¿qué le ha pasado a las que han fracasado, a las que no han sido capaces de dar el paso? ¿Cuál ha sido como esa receta para el fracaso de no poder llegar a tener un modelo de capitalismo consciente? Y mil gracias, Jorge, y felicitaciones a todos.
No, por favor, gracias por dedicarnos estos ratos. Raj, he's asking what has happened to the companies that have failed to implement, to think about conscious capitalism and to do that in their companies. What is the future of those companies?
Well, I don't believe there's a long-term future. I think, being a conscious business was always the right thing to do, a good thing to do, right? But in the future, it will be a necessary thing to do, right? So we talk about necessary conditions and sufficient conditions. So it was always a good idea. We have 100-year-old companies that were conscious companies, but you could also succeed by doing business the other way, profit maximization, etc., because human consciousness was at that level. I think in the future, companies that are not conscious will not be able to survive. They will not be able to compete. They will not be able to attract talent. They will not be able to attract investment. They will not be able to attract customers. And sooner or later, the transparency we have in the world, we can figure out which companies are doing the right things and which ones are not. And over time, those companies will, I believe, go out of business. And they might look pretty strong today, but they are hollowed out. They don't have a core that is going to enable them to succeed in the future. So we have to have that. If you do not adapt, and this is a major form of adaptation that is going on in the world, right? That if you don't adapt, you are going to go extinct. I mean, that's just almost a natural law. So I do believe that is, as I said, it's an imperative now. It is a necessary condition for success. But then again, being conscious, you can be, there's a whole spectrum of how conscious you can be. There's no limit to that. So how conscious and how do you continue to evolve in that way? I think those are the ones that will also have tremendous competitive advantage in the marketplace.
Well, I think a great example of that, Neha, Raj, please. A great example of that this year in 2020 has been the oil industry. That's a great example of an industry that wasn't moving along very quickly. The catastrophes that came in that Lynn spoke about for 2020 has brought it to its knees. Now they are all talking about clean energy and new ways forward. And 1 year ago, we would have never heard this. So we can choose to do this on our own, or we can choose to be forced to do it. What's your choice, really, is the question.
Yeah. Car
Thank you so
companies in
much.
the US, for example, yes.
Excellent.
Gracias, Ricardo, por la pregunta. También María Juliana Mora quiere preguntar. María Juliana, buenos días.
Jorge, no, se me había
Hola.
quedado la mano levantada anteriormente. No tenía ninguna pregunta, qué pena.
No, por favor, no te preocupes. Alberto Peisach también tiene pregunta. Hola, Alberto, buenos días.
Buenos días. I'm going to do it in English so that
Please, thank you.
Nera can answer. Again, thank you very much to Bancolombia for this incredible effort, and I actually want to thank all the participants for setting the time aside to be here. I've learned a lot from everybody. My question is, this has been a titanic effort from Bancolombia to put this together and to make sure that such an incredible group of people come together religiously for 8 weeks to do this. How do we maintain the momentum as a group? Because we can have a lot more impact if we stay together as a group and work together, so that we can have a much larger positive impact on those around us.
Well, I think we will, I'll just take a first cut at that. I think we will brainstorm after this, having heard loud and clear the message from the group that there is a desire for 3 levels, right? One is a collective connection to go forward and a mechanism to enable people to share and learn from each other as they go. That we've also heard at a country level that we want chapters of conscious capitalism. And we can try to coalesce some energy around that and see it takes volunteer effort to do something like that. And the third is many companies have said that we want to do this, but we feel like we need help. And so we can, of course, help provide people who are able to assist you and guide you in whatever dimension of this change that is needed. So we will be brainstorming and working on all 3 of those going forward.
Thank you, Raj. También tiene pregunta Guillermo Peña. Hola, Guillermo. Buenas tardes.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? I will do it in English also.
Yes.
Many of the questions I was going to say, Alberto, got in advance. Thanks for Bancolombia for this effort. It has been very, very important to enhance our way of thinking and doing so. We would like to be connected. We would like to have, I would like to have like the addresses and where to contact them to see if this help that we can share with other companies and at the government and the country level, we can continue with this and try to work for the happiness and the healness of most of our inhabitants, workers, and companies. Thank you. Thank you, Bancolombia, Maria Juliana. You are there. You have been the people from Bancolombia that has done all the efforts and have been pendientes, I don't know how to say that in English, of all the details, gifts, and things that were received on time, and it was perfect organization. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Guillermo, for those words. And I'm sure we all share the same thoughts. Y finalmente, una pregunta más. Carlos Giraldo. Hola, Carlos.
Hola, Jorge. I would like to make a commentary and a question. In our group, we spoke about the possibility that one of the ways to go forward and to continue with this inertia and with this energy is that we identify our complementarity, our possibilities to work together in projects that can impact the society and the planet. Because many of our companies are doing things and they are having an impact, but if we identify what the others here present are doing, we can team together, as many of us are already teaming in some of the projects. And my question would be, there's a very strong proposal that was done 2 or 3 sessions ago about how to put all the stakeholders together in one conversation. in one collective conversation. That's very powerful, but I would like to know if that's feasible and how can you get to that point?
I'm not sure. Neha, would you want to address that? I think I understand the question, but.
Let me see if I understand it. What I heard was you're ready to bring all the stakeholders together. So first of all, you said the importance of this group, right? I hear that, and identifying everybody's goals moving forward and what they're contributing so that all of you can work together. The second piece that I heard was around bringing stakeholders. How do you bring all the stakeholders together, which reminds me of the appreciative inquiry and the future search, getting a very skilled person who can help you bring the diverse interests of your stakeholders so that you can create one common vision together and see how they all fit together. That's what I heard, Raj.
Yeah, Carlos, did we answer your question?
That's precisely because you spoke about the relation with all the groups of stakeholders and the co-creation level, but then you said there's the possibility also of generating one collective conversation between your different stakeholders, and that would have a lot of power.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
So
what Neha said was exactly the right approach.
I think really many of these items you have now gained awareness on, but you may not have the skill to lead yourself. So what you would say is, Carlos, this is my vision. This is the conversation I would like to have. This is who I'd like to bring together. Help us make this conversation happen and make sure that everybody is heard. At the end, this is what I'd like. And really your clarity on that level will allow us to help you with who can do that for you, who can help you with that goal. So your clarity is all we need. So we will make sure that you have a way to get in touch with us, and we'd be happy to have that conversation with you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Let's move on, Neha and Raj, if you are okay with that. Porque en este momento lo que necesitamos son empresas sanadoras, como lo hemos mencionado durante varios momentos, y capaces de curar las heridas de nuestra sociedad. Y por eso Raj nos va a guiar en un juramento de sanación que vamos a hacer todos juntos, celebrando este momento al que hemos llegado después de varios meses juntos. Raj, Healing Oath.
Yes. So at the end of the book, The Healing Organization, we decided to include a healing oath. Now, if you think about doctors everywhere take what they call a Hippocratic oath at the end of their training and before they actually start practicing, because it is such a sacred function and duty that they perform that people's lives are in their hands, and therefore they need to operate with a higher set of principles. I believe leaders have a similar duty and responsibility and impact in the world. People's lives are in our hands, whether we recognize it or not. We have a multi-generational impact on those families because the people who work with us, their children and their children, all of that is going to get impacted through what happens here. And therefore, we believe that it is helpful for us to deeply think about and then to commit to these ideas. And what I'd like to do is to offer you our wording that we have from the Healing Organization, which you can look at and perhaps adapt it to your own unique language and values. But some version of this, I believe, is an important thing that becomes something that not only the leaders, but everybody in the company starts to then say, you know what, this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for. So I will share this. And normally what I've done it when I've been in person with groups is that I've put it up and people have literally stood up and put one hand on their heart and they raised one hand and say, I do pledge or swear to this oath. In this case, what we will do is Jorge will say the words in Spanish. And then you can, if you feel so moved, with your microphone still muted, otherwise the sound becomes a little chaotic. You can also say those or think those words as well if they resonate with you, which I hope they will. So let me just share that. So it starts with the phrase, and I have in Latin, and then briefly in English, and then a longer version in Spanish for each of these. Primum non nocere, which means first to do no harm, which I believe is the first part of the Hippocratic Oath as well. We must first resolve not to do any harm. And here's the Spanish phrase there, and I'm just going to ask Jorge to basically
Yes.
say it on behalf of the group, and the rest of us can be identifying with that.
Yes, of course, Raj. Operaré mi negocio de forma que no cause daño a otros ni a la tierra.
So again, just absorb that and meditate on that for a few seconds. See how deeply that rings true for you, connects to you. The second is malus eradicare, root out evil.
Nunca permitiré o formaré parte de abusos o explotación y defenderé la justicia, la verdad, la belleza, la integridad y la bondad.
The third is amor vincit omnia, which means love conquers all.
Siempre actuaré desde el amor y mediré el éxito a través de la realización, la abundancia y la alegría que generamos en todos aquellos cuyas vidas tocamos.
Let's see. So again, think about that. You're free to adapt and adopt this or adapt it as you're. But I do believe that something like this, countries and companies need to have some foundational documents that they truly hold to be almost sacred. And creating some version of that, I think, for yourself would be very, very important.
Yeah. Thank you, Raj. El Healing Oath. Antes de que recordemos juntos algunos de los momentos que hemos vivido en Generación Consciente, quisiéramos conocer muy rápidamente su opinión sobre el programa. En este momento debe estar apareciendo en sus pantallas una encuesta de satisfacción muy sencilla. Tiene una calificación y la posibilidad, si quieren, de dejar un comentario. Acaba de aparecer precisamente en este instante. Si no aparece en sus pantallas, debió salirles como una notificación, y si eso tampoco ocurrió, pueden calificar el programa y hacer sus comentarios en el chat. Esto solo toma unos pocos segundos para contestarla, pero nos ayuda enormemente conocer su opinión. Así que tómense unos segundos para contestar esa encuesta, la encuesta de satisfacción, que está precisamente apareciendo en este momento en cada una de sus pantallas. Voy a dar unos pocos segundos más. Estas respuestas no las vamos a compartir, es solamente para que ustedes las contesten allí y para que nos ayuden como un insumo para nosotros, para Generación Consciente. Gracias. Hay múltiples maneras de celebrar el hecho de que hayamos estado juntos en este viaje de conocimiento que nos propuso el Grupo Bancolombia y que nos propuso Raj. Ustedes deciden si utilizan el detalle que recibieron esta semana o el café de la semana pasada, pero de cualquier forma, lo más importante es que miremos atrás y comprobemos que el camino recorrido ha valido la pena. Así que los vamos a dejar con este pequeño detalle visual y sonoro para que recordemos esta experiencia. Buenos días a todos, ¿cómo están? Mi nombre es Jorge Espinosa. Muy buenos días a todos. Muy buenos días a todos.
Buenos días, Jorge. Buenos días para todos. Es un gusto estar hoy con ustedes.
Great to see you and great to see everybody else.
So thank you for that. And I am really excited today.
En el 2020 comenzó una experiencia digital que cambiaría la visión de los CEOs más importantes de la región.
Those things, and where is our greatest opportunity
to how challenging it is to
Fantastic. Well, I'm so delighted to be
Una
here.
experiencia que los unió como líderes y los llevó a trabajar como equipo.
Me gusta mucho, digamos, intelectualmente los retos y las transacciones que trae este equipo.
Que también le quita esa restricción al crecimiento a nuestras empresas.
Y ese ecosistema no solo es natural, sino que es humano.
Oyeron su voz interior. Para darse cuenta del poder que tiene escuchar con el corazón.
Dice así: sabrá Dios si tú me quieres o me engañas. Como no adivino, seguiré pensando.
So again, the topic today is a conscious and caring culture.
culture and thinking about it carefully.
Our culture is the premium fuel that allows that engine to perform at its optimal value.
Aprendieron que la cultura consciente y solidaria es una fuente de fortaleza organizacional.
Mi historia de vida me llevó a montar gastronomía.
The title here is Healing Our World, the Role of Business. I think we all recognize that there's a great need for healing in the world, healing of multiple kinds, really. So let's talk about what that means.
Les enseñaron que en tiempos de incertidumbre el conocimiento es un verdadero oasis y que todos somos polvo de estrellas.
Y para mí hablar de astronomía es siempre un placer para hacer las cosas bien como seres humanos, como empresarios, porque la Tierra, el Sol y el cosmos son una gran unidad. Somos todo polvo de estrella.
Y que ojalá la inspiración los encuentre trabajando.
Para mí es muy importante eso de la 80% de transpiración y 20% de inspiración. Es totalmente así. Yo no soy de los que piensa que me siento en un sillón para esperar que se me prenda la lamparita. Yo creo mucho en el trabajo, ¿no? Decía Picasso, espero que la inspiración me encuentre trabajando.
Entendieron que una empresa no puede ser más consciente que sus líderes.
You know, leadership has evolved as an idea. It's one of the most studied disciplines. There are thousands and thousands of books about leadership.
So as we speak about conscious leadership and you ask these questions.
John is a pioneering business leader who has been listed as one of the most important entrepreneurs of our time by Fortune magazine. And my message to all of the business leaders out there is understand that you are doing good in the world. Business is good, but you can make it better by engaging, doing it more consciously, being a more conscious leader.
Y por eso queremos que recuerden que ustedes son los que ayudarán a construir colectivamente el crecimiento económico sostenible que asegure el bienestar de todos.
Hello, conscious leaders. It's been a great honor and pleasure for us to serve you the last few months and to be on this journey of becoming more conscious human beings and conscious leaders.
It has been such an eye-opening and exciting time, as much as is going on in the world, to hear all of you share what you're doing with your companies, what you plan to do next, and watching you all come together gives me hope.
Ha sido un verdadero placer conocer y compartir con una comunidad de empresarios y directivos como vosotros, dispuestos a aportar vuestro granito de arena en lugar de quejaros.
Ahora todos estamos unidos para elevar el estándar en la forma en que se hacen los negocios en nuestras propias comunidades en todo el mundo.
Que lo que necesitamos en este planeta son líderes morales, gente como ustedes que están emprendiendo sin miedo.
Muchas gracias al grupo Bancolombia, a Rach, a Nija y a todos quienes han hecho esto posible.
Me voy muy agradecido de ver que hay un grupo tan grande de líderes en la región y eso para mí me da mucha esperanza.
y muy claro que este es apenas el comienzo de un viaje que tiene tanto potencial.
Ha sido un placer serviros durante todo este tiempo, ser felices y hasta pronto. Un abrazo.
Quiero invitarlos a que realmente avancemos en poner en práctica todo esto que estamos viendo. Si ustedes ven, hemos hecho un esfuerzo, o han hecho un esfuerzo importante con el gran conocimiento de Rash y de Neha, de poner la teoría, pero también la práctica y traer personas que lo han hecho. Yo creo que el reto nuestro es cómo, como empresarios, llevamos a la práctica en el modo que cada uno interpreta todos estos temas, porque realmente nuestro reto es cómo mostrar una generación consciente desde los negocios puede hacer la diferencia y puede hacer la diferencia para la sociedad.
Después de todos estos recuerdos, buenos recuerdos, tengo el placer de dar la palabra a la persona a la que acompañé desde el comienzo de esta generación consciente, hace ya algunos meses. Juan Carlos Mora, el presidente del Grupo Bancolombia. Juan Carlos, bienvenido, buenos días, tardes ya.
Buenas tardes, Jorge, muy buenas tardes para todos. Como lo ha repetido Jorge varias veces, llegamos al final de esta primera etapa. Cuando en el Grupo Bancolombia estábamos pensando cómo abordar esta tarea que nos pusimos, que nos autoimpusimos, de cómo crear unas imágenes y una información que permitiera agrupar un movimiento colectivo, pensamos en generación consciente. ¿Y generación consciente por qué? Porque generación implica que es un movimiento que tiene una masa suficientemente grande para hacer la diferencia. Y consciente porque entiende su responsabilidad en este momento. Yo quiero llamar la atención sobre un par de preguntas que se hicieron hoy, que son dudas que nos asaltan a todos. Ricardo Sierra manifestaba, bueno, ¿y esto cómo lo llevamos a la práctica? Yo creo que eso es un tema que a todos nos está dando vueltas. Y estamos hoy, creo que concientizados, sensibles, con información, con muchas ganas de hacer las cosas. Tenemos el reto de cómo llevarlo a la práctica y para eso vamos a necesitar ayuda y apoyo. Y el otro tema es cómo nos mantenemos unidos como un grupo. Y yo pongo a disposición nuestra capacidad y toda nuestra voluntad de trabajar para que sigamos unidos y trabajando juntos. Hemos encendido una llama, creemos, pero para poder que se mantenga y crezca, tiene que tener el concurso de todos. Y los invito a que participemos en esto. Ustedes le han dedicado tiempo, 8 sesiones de tiempo valioso. Creo que ha valido la pena. A mí personalmente me ha servido muchísimo porque creo que hoy tengo conciencia sobre muchos temas. Espero que ustedes también. Creo que nos ha hecho mejores personas, más reflexivas y ha puesto claramente el rol de las empresas en que podemos hacer la diferencia. Yo creo que ese es el gran mensaje que tenemos. Podemos hacer la diferencia nosotros con nuestras actuaciones y mantener ese movimiento colectivo es fundamental. Así que los invito a que sigamos adelante, habrá retos y a que nos apoyemos como comunidad y cuenten con el concurso del Grupo Bancolombia para ayudar en ese camino que tenemos que recorrer en conjunto y apoyándonos los unos a los otros. Quiero darle un agradecimiento muy especial a Rash como líder de este programa y a Neha. Ha sido excelente sus reflexiones, su conducción, cómo diseñaron y pusieron todo este material y todas estas reflexiones, los invitados. Creo que tenemos un programa de nivel mundial a disposición, así que muchas gracias a Rash, a Neha, a todos los facilitadores que permitieron llevar reflexiones, pensamientos, trabajo y sobre todo a todos ustedes que participaron. Y quiero también dar un agradecimiento muy especial a todo el equipo que ha estado trabajando para que esto funcione bien. Jorge, muchas gracias por esa conducción magistral, por la forma como lo has hecho, ha fluido perfectamente bien. Muchas gracias al equipo de producción que ha estado detrás de todo este tema que No es fácil, a pesar de todos los avances técnicos, poner todo este tema en conjunto para que funcione, y al equipo de Bancolombia, que trabajó por muchos meses, créanme, en diseñar, en poner todo este tema junto para que pudiéramos disfrutar de este programa. Muchas gracias a ellos por un trabajo muy, muy especial. Así que muchas gracias a todos. Tenemos un reto que tenemos que abordar juntos para ser realmente una generación consciente.
Juan Carlos, gracias. Y si me permite, me gustaría también que para finalizar esta octava sesión sean nuestros invitados los que nos cuenten un poco más su experiencia en el programa, qué idea o qué momento les ha impactado más, cuáles son las iniciativas que han surgido a partir de lo que han visto acá. Si les parece bien, podemos alzar la mano, y los que quieran hablar, el tiempo es de ustedes por un rato para que podamos compartir estas experiencias juntos y seguir con el hilo de las palabras de Juan Carlos. ¿Quién es el valiente que comienza?
Harold había levantado la mano por ahí hace un rato. No sé si Harold quisiera participar.
Sí.
Ahí está Luis Alberto.
Y Luis Botero también. Luis y el doctor Harold Eder. Luis, buenos días, tardes.
Buenas tardes. Hoy he tenido problemas de conexión serios. Pero primero que todo, un agradecimiento muy especial a Rasha, y por supuesto al presidente de Bancolombia, Juan Carlos. A Andrea, Julián, a todos los ejecutivos de Bancolombia, muchas gracias. Pero además muchas gracias a todos los colegas por haber compartido esta experiencia durante estos meses. La verdad ha sido realmente impresionante, y el día de hoy ha sido especialmente conmovedor. Yo utilicé esa expresión esta mañana porque la verdad, con este juramento, pues digamos, hipocrático que hicimos al final, esto es un compromiso muy grande, pero el que ustedes hayan sido capaces de convocar a todos los que estamos aquí, y todos hayamos estado en todas las sesiones, yo me perdí una nomás, es un compromiso muy grande, y es un compromiso serio. El que ustedes hayan convocado las principales empresas, pues, de la región, yo creo que es una semilla que va a germinar, y va a germinar muy bien, muy bien. Y solo eso, palabras de agradecimiento a Rash, a Neja, de nuevo a Juan Carlos. Es espectacular lo que vivimos aquí. De manera que esa es mi intervención, Jorge.
Muchas gracias, muchas gracias.
Con todo el corazón.
No, pero muy bien, muchas gracias. Harold Eder, buenos días, tardes.
Buenos días. I'm going to switch to English to make it easier for Raj and Neha. Again, I also want to thank Juan Carlos and Raj and Neha and the whole team for great sessions, very inspiring sessions that we've had here. I would like to, picking up on what Juan Carlos is inviting us to suggest that we should conform the group formally, invite the other more companies and the other companies that are not here that should be here, and have this group here in Colombia and eventually in the region, where I think we should work again to help each other in adapting these principles in our companies, but also in making some public commitments to the country and to society. As I mentioned before, in a country like ours, I think the capitalist system is at risk. We are facing threats to democracy and to the capitalist system, and I think that we should take a more active role in defending it and in showing how it can evolve, to be more inclusive and generating more prosperity to all. We have a lot of problems in our democracy, a lot of political problems, and we're a work in progress, much more than more developed countries. So I think that we should do that and see how we can make more public commitments as a group of companies, not only as individual companies, in social, environmental, and prosperity goals.
Muchas gracias, Harold. Andrés Aguirre también quería decir algo. Andrés, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes a todos. Hablaré en español. No sé qué tan fácil sea para el traductor traducir. Tengo 3 cosas para decir. La primera es que las palabras nos abren mundo, pero también nos lo cierran. ¿Por qué? Porque las palabras ya tienen objetos definidos. Me refiero muy específicamente a la palabra gracias. Ojalá hubiera una nueva palabra para no usar algo que lo decimos de manera lapidaria. Ojalá hubiera una palabra nueva, si la inventan me la cuentan, para expresar la gratitud que sentimos por esto. Pero nuevamente la palabra gracias es la palabra que usamos, pero no narra, que es lo segundo, la experiencia que vivimos. Las experiencias son transformadoras. La experiencia es un niño saltando detrás de un grillo. Las experiencias que más profundamente transforman la vida humana, nos lo han dicho los filósofos, son la experiencia del amor, la del dolor y la de la muerte. No vamos a vivir solo la muerte una vez, pero son experiencias que transforman radicalmente nuestra vida, nos ponen, no son narrables, no son describibles. Voy a poner otro ejemplo, es como cuando la primera vez que probamos una uva y alguien nos dijera a qué te supo la uva. La única forma es, venga, coma usted a ver a qué le supo la uva. Pero eso nos genera una alegría, estas experiencias nos transforman en una alegría y nos transforman radicalmente la vida. Para mí ha sido esto. Y lo tercero, entonces, la promesa, que es la forma de expresar gratitud, de multiplicar, de lograr que esto realmente nos sirva para hacer un mundo mejor. Nuevamente, no tengo las palabras de gracias para una experiencia, segundo, que es transformadora. Muchísimas gracias a todos, y a ti, Jorge, a Juan Carlos, a todos los que han permitido que esto lo podamos experimentar.
Muy bien, Andrés, muchas gracias por esas palabras. Julio Jairo Ceballos también ha levantado la mano. Hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, Jorge, buenas tardes a todos. Miren, creo que nos insistieron durante el curso en el propósito. ¿Cuál es el propósito que tenemos? Y acabamos de hacer un juramento que tiene 3 grandes párrafos llenos de contenido que se pueden convertir en propósitos de orden personal y también para nuestras organizaciones. Creo que tenemos un gran reto. Y gracias a la organización, a Juan Carlos, Mora, a Jorge por la conducción, a quienes nos acompañaron, a Raj, todos, porque nos han dejado 3 grandes retos en este juramento que pueden ser grandes propósitos.
Muchas gracias. También hay alguien más que en estos últimos minutos que tenemos quisiera decir algo, hacer una reflexión, complementar algo de lo que se ha dicho.
I would, if there's no more participants speaking.
Yes, Raj, please.
Thank.
Go ahead.
You know, this was not an easy undertaking, I think, for all of us involved. This was intended to be an in-person experience, which I think is a lot easier now, we realize. It took a tremendous amount of coordination and work, but of course, it was very much worth it to go through that and to go through this experience with all of you. So I'm really deeply grateful to all the people that have been involved. First of all, with Juan Carlos and Grupo Bancolombia for their commitment to elevating business around the world in their region. I mean, this is really exceptional, and it's rare. that companies take such a broad view of their impact in the world. So thank you for that. Thank you, Jorge, for your wonderful hosting. It's very comforting knowing that you're there to take care of any things that might come up. Of course, we had lots of support. We speakers, Antonio and Diana and Carolina, have been there every minute, and we have spent I don't know how many hours and how many weekends together with them on these things. The Ideas Lucida's team, Samuel and Paula and their colleagues, working very, very hard to make this happen. The Dirty Kitchen people and Manny and others there, all of our wonderful facilitators who I have met over the years as they started Conscious Capitalism chapters and have been committed. And this was a wonderful opportunity for me and for us to reconnect with each other and to be part of something so meaningful with so much potential to do good. So thank you all to the facilitators for being along with this journey. Thank you to Susan, our dear friend, who lent so much of her expertise and wisdom to this process as well. We continue to learn from Susan all the time with her deep experience as a leader. And of course, all of our guest speakers who gave of their time and their wisdom for us to be able to create something meaningful for you. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all of you, because there are very few people in the world as busy as CEOs are, and we all know that. And for you to invest this time and to be here and to be fully present and participating, and then to be responding and engaging with the material and committing to a real change going forward. So that has been deeply gratifying. That is ultimately why we all do this work, because we know that through leaders and through companies, we can touch lives and make a positive impact. So thank you all for that. And this is, as I said, not the end of the journey, but this is the beginning of a more important, significant journey going forward. So thank you. And last but not least, of course, I want to thank Neha, without whom this kind of an experience would not have been possible. And her expertise and her deep care and commitment and heart and wisdom that she pours into this is extraordinary. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rash.
Neha might want to say something as well.
Yes, please, Neha. I think you're mute.
I mean, of course, how could I leave this without not getting off mute the last time? So thank you, Raj. Thank you. Just what an enormous team that has come together. We have worked through a lot together, and I am eternally grateful to hear the impact for each and every one of you. So we will do our best to take your input and support you in any way we can moving forward.
Thank you so much, Neha and Rash. And let me just say that my business is different from the CEO's business. I'm in journalism, but I have also learned a lot hearing you guys and trying to understand what you're trying to tell us. So thank you so much, both of us, both of you. It's wonderful to hear you, and thank you so much for your kind words towards me. Thank you, Rash and Neha. Creo que queda poco por decir con todo lo que hemos escuchado, pero sí quiero agradecerles finalmente su confianza para contar conmigo en este proyecto de Generación Consciente, que como acabo de decir ha sido también para mí muy enriquecedor. Ha sido un placer oír tantas ideas interesantes, compartirlas con ustedes y tener a esta cantidad de personajes memorables que hacen cosas tan distintas, desde mirar el cielo hasta hacer un cóctel cada semana. En nombre del Grupo Bancolombia, queremos expresarles nuestra gratitud por confiar en este programa, por dedicarnos lo más preciado que uno tiene en la vida, que probablemente es el tiempo, y por permitirnos estar con ustedes durante este rato cada semana. Para todos, muchas gracias y que tengan una feliz tarde. Chao.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias, Jorge.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a todos otra vez. Hasta luego.
Gracias, Pablo.